The sun always rose gently over the city of Lagos, painting the sky with strokes of gold that shimmered over the lagoon. But inside the towering glass building of the Adeyemi Group headquarters, nothing ever felt gentle. Everything was big. Loud. Demanding. Powerful. Just like the family that ran it. Talia Adeyemi had grown up inside these walls. She knew every corner, every echo, every story etched into the marble floors. She also knew how heavy the Adeyemi name was, how it came with a crown that felt more like a chain some days. But the person who suffered the most under that chain was her twin brother, Tari. Talia and Tari were born only 3 minutes apart, but the world had always treated them as if they were worlds away from each other. Talia was the fire, bold, brilliant, fierce, sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. Tari was the quiet storm, brilliant but introverted, confident but gentle, wealthy but humble. And maybe that was the problem, his humility had turned into a weapon others used against him. Growing up as Adeyemi twins meant growing up in the spotlight. Money, luxury, respect, and influence surrounded them, but so did greed. Tari had learned that harsh truth the hard way. 3 years earlier, he had fallen in love. Or at least, he thought he had. Her name was Sheila. Smooth smile, soft voice, charming laugh. She had acted like she loved Tari, acted like she saw the man, not the billions. But in the end, her mask fell painfully. Talia discovered the truth, a secret plan Sheila and her secret fiancé had developed to marry Tari, have a child with him, and gain access to the Adeyemi Empire. Tari had been destroyed. Heart broken. Trust shattered. Spirit dimmed. Since then, he had withdrawn from love completely. He worked, he smiled, he pretended to be fine, but Talia could see through him. She could read his silence like a book. And for the first time in her life, she felt helpless. Until one night changed everything. It was during a charity dinner at Eco Hotel, where the wealthy elite of Lagos had gathered in shimmering gowns and tailored suits. Talia had stepped away from the hall, annoyed by yet another woman trying to flirt with Tari simply because she learned his net worth. He didn't even notice the woman. He was simply staring out at the city lights, the distant sparkles reflecting in his sad eyes. "Tari," she said softly, touching his arm. He turned to her with a tired smile. "Yeah. You're fading." He looked at her for a long moment, then sighed. "I'm okay, Talia." "No. You're surviving, not living." He didn't deny it. And that was when Talia understood, if she didn't act, her brother would end up alone, wounded by a world that only wanted his wealth. So she made a decision. A wild one. A dangerous one. A genius one. She would step out of the billionaire world. She would disguise herself. She would become someone else entirely, someone invisible, someone ordinary, someone real. She would walk among the everyday people of Lagos. And she would search. Study. Watch. Until she found someone capable of loving Tari for who he was, not for what he owned. A woman who would love the man, not the money. A woman with purity of heart. A woman who could heal him. She would become the scout, the tester, the filter. And she knew exactly where to begin, at the bottom. Not because love lived only in poverty, but because sincerity was easier to spot when there was no money involved. So that night, after returning home to their mansion in Banana Island, she sat on the edge of her bed and opened her laptop. Slowly, she typed the first line of her plan. Operation Real Love, for Tari. Her fingers trembled as she typed the second line. Step 1, disappear. The plan took 2 weeks to prepare. 2 long weeks of buying cheap clothes, changing her hairstyle, studying accents, and creating a new identity. Her new name would be Leah, short, simple, untraceable. She found a small one-room apartment in Suralere, the kind with peeling paint and noisy neighbors. She paid rent 6 months up front, pretending to be a salesgirl who had saved for years. Then she applied for a job as a cashier at a small seaside restaurant in Lekki Phase 1, the Palm Shore Eatery, a cozy place popular among students, young professionals, and hustlers. Perfect. A place where real people lived their real lives. When she got accepted for the job, she walked out of the restaurant with a soft smile she hadn't felt in years. She had lived as a billionaire princess all her life: chauffeurs, maids, private schools, foreign vacations, security teams, personal assistants. But now, she would live as Leah. Simple. Ordinary. Invisible. For the first time, she felt free. Her first day at the eatery shocked her. Not because of the work, she expected that. But because of the people. She had never met people so open, so raw, so real. They laughed loudly, argued loudly, loved loudly. And they survived every day with strength and grace despite having little. Then she met the woman who would change everything. Her name was Nia Chisomo. Nia was a young woman with warm brown skin, soft eyes, and a calm aura. She wasn't flashy or attention-seeking. She dressed simply, but something about her looked effortlessly elegant. She worked part-time as a waitress while studying nursing. Nia wasn't rich. Nia didn't pretend. Nia didn't brag. Nia didn't gossip. She was different. The kind of woman who wiped tears from a crying child even if she was late for work. The kind of woman who shared her lunch with a stranger. The kind of woman who always said thank you and meant it. And the more Talia watched her, the more she knew. This girl was special. But that wasn't enough. She needed to be sure Nia wasn't pretending. She needed to test her. Because love could not be guessed, it had to be proven. And so began the silent observations, the small conversations, the carefully designed tests that Nia never realized she was being given. It was during one of these tests that Talia made a surprising discovery. Nia wasn't looking for a rich man. She wasn't even looking for a man at all. She simply believed that love should find you when you're ready, not when you're desperate. Talia admired that. But the true turning point came late one evening. A group of arrogant young men came into the restaurant, mocking the workers, bragging about their wealth, insulting the staff. One of them tried touching Nia's hand without permission. Before Talia could intervene, Nia stepped back, eyes steady, voice calm but firm. Don't touch what you don't respect. The entire eatery went silent. The man tried laughing it off, but Nia didn't flinch. She didn't beg. She didn't tremble. She simply walked away. Talia's heart beat fast. This was a woman with dignity. Strength. Self-respect. This was a woman who could stand by Tari, not because of his wealth, but because of her own principles. And for the first time in months, Talia felt hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, she had found the one. Talia's mission deepened with every passing day. The more time she spent as Leah, the more she understood how different the real world was from the billionaire bubble she had grown up in. Life was loud, unpredictable, messy, but honest. No bodyguards shadowed her. No personal driver waited outside. No assistants hovered with schedules and bottled water. For the first time, she felt the weight of her own footsteps on the ground. And she liked it. She liked blending in. She liked being unseen. She liked being normal, even if it was all temporary. But most importantly, she liked studying Nia. Every day revealed another layer of the girl she hoped would one day become her brother's wife. And Talia was committed, fully committed, to understanding who Nia truly was beneath the gentle eyes and calm demeanor. One Tuesday afternoon, after a busy lunch rush, Talia and Nia sat behind the restaurant, catching their breath. The air smelled of fried fish and ocean salt. Delivery bikes zoomed past on the street, and the distant sound of waves hit the shore lazily. Nia opened her lunch pack, just rice and stew, and without hesitation pushed half of it toward Talia. "You didn't eat breakfast," she said. "Share with me." Talia blinked. In her real life, nobody offered her food. People gifted her expensive bottles, designer items, business proposals, but nobody ever shared a plate of rice with her out of sincerity. "Thank you," she said softly. Nia smiled. "That's what friends do." Friends. Talia felt a small ache in her chest. She had acquaintances, colleagues, employees, associates, but she didn't have many true friends. Real friendship rarely survived billionaire life. People always wanted something. But Nia wanted nothing from her. Leah, the cashier, had no money to give. It made Talia even more determined. But friendship alone wasn't enough. She needed to test deeper things: values, reactions, emotional intelligence, loyalty, patience. Love wasn't just about kindness, it was about endurance. And she soon got her opportunity. The following week, the restaurant owner, Mr. Dennis, announced salary delays. "Management issue," he said, shrugging. "It will be cleared next week." Everyone groaned. Everyone except Nia. She simply nodded and went back to work. But Talia noticed something. Nia skipped dinner that evening. And the next. And the next. So Talia offered her food discreetly the third night. Nia refused. "You need it more," she said, smiling weakly. "No, I insist." "Talia, sorry, Leah," she corrected softly, "if I take from you while you don't have much, it won't be generous. It will be selfish." Talia stared. She had never met someone like this. Someone who refused to burden others even when she herself was struggling. Later that week, Talia quietly slipped 5,000 Nigerian nairas into Nia's bag, thinking it would help her buy a decent meal. She expected gratitude, maybe even happy tears. Instead, the next morning, Nia approached her with the money wrapped in a paper. "You dropped this," she said. "What if I wanted you to have it?" Talia asked. Nia shook her head. "You're my friend, not my provider. If I take money from you, it will change the balance." Talia swallowed. Nia had integrity. Real integrity. She wasn't moved by hunger. She wasn't moved by charity. She wasn't moved by desperation. She was her own person. That day, Talia secretly wrote in her diary. Strong moral compass. Not swayed by money. High self-respect. She underlined the last phrase twice. But destiny has a habit of revealing people faster through hardship than comfort. One rainy Friday evening, a storm rolled over Lagos without warning. The sky darkened, the wind howled, and heavy rain slammed against the restaurant windows. Most customers ran out early to beat the flooding, leaving the place half empty. Around 8 p.m., as the staff were preparing to close, a little boy wandered in, drenched and shivering. He couldn't be more than 7. Barefoot. Skinny. Scared. Everyone froze. The manager shouted, "This is not a shelter. Go home, small boy." But the boy just stood there, teeth chattering. Talia opened her mouth to speak, but Nia was quicker. She hurried to the boy, removed her own cardigan, wrapped it around him, and crouched to his level. "What's your name?" Nia asked gently. "Sam," he whispered. "Where are your parents?" He shook his head. "Don't know." "Are you hungry?" He nodded. Without waiting for permission, Nia rushed to the kitchen, grabbed a warm plate of food, and served him. She sat with him while he ate, whispering soothing words as rain hammered the roof. The manager stormed over. "Nia. Who will pay for that food? That is company property." "I will," she said simply. "Take it from my salary." "You don't even have salary yet," the manager snapped. "I'll pay when I get it." The manager threw his hands up and walked away grumbling, but Nia didn't care. All her attention was on the boy. Talia watched silently, her heart swelling. After the storm eased, Nia waited with the boy at the bus stop until a woman came running, his frantic mother, soaked and crying. They must have been separated by the storm. Nia hugged the woman, reassured her, and even gave Sam her umbrella so he wouldn't get wet again. As they walked away, Talia wrote in her diary. Compassion, extraordinary. Sacrifice, unquestionable. Character, gold. She was convinced more than ever. Nia was the one. But the final confirmation came in the most unexpected way. 2 days later, a rumor spread among the staff that the restaurant would downsize. 2 cashiers, 2 waitresses, and 1 cook might lose their jobs. Fear spread like wildfire. That afternoon, while sorting receipts at the front desk, Talia overheard 2 girls whispering. "I hope they sack Nia," one said jealously. "She always acting like Angel." "Her own is too much," the other added. "Let her go first." Nia walked in right at that moment, tired, carrying trays, but she didn't respond. She simply greeted them and kept working. Later that day, the schedule list was posted. 2 names were cut off. Nia's name. And Talia's fake identity, Leah. The room went silent. Talia kept her face blank, she had expected to be fired eventually. But Nia stared at the list with trembling hands. Still, she did not cry. She did not complain. She simply breathed out slowly. When the manager came out, Nia approached him calmly. "Sir, please," she said. "If the company must let 2 people go, let Leah keep her job. She sends money to her younger cousins. They depend on her. My own siblings are older. They work. They will help me." Talia's heart slammed in her chest. She had told Nia a fake story about having struggling cousins just to explain why she never borrowed money, and Nia remembered every detail. "No," the manager snapped. "Decision is final." But Nia stepped forward again. "Please," she said. "If you must choose, choose me." The room went dead quiet. Even the other staff stared in disbelief. The manager sighed and waved her off. "Both of you go. I have no time." Nia turned and pulled Talia into a gentle hug. It's okay," she whispered. "We'll figure it out. We. Not you. Not I. We." That was the moment Talia knew, without any doubt, that Nia deserved Tari. Because she had just sacrificed her own job to protect someone she thought was poorer than her. Someone she believed needed it more. Someone she thought of as a friend. Someone who, to her, had value beyond money. Talia struggled to hold back tears. This was the woman she'd been looking for. That night, when she returned to her small apartment, she opened her diary again and wrote the biggest line yet. "This girl has the heart my brother needs." Then she wrote another. "It's time for phase 2. Phase 2 was simple. Make Nia and Tari meet, naturally. No lies. No tricks. No money involved, yet. But fate seemed eager to help her. Because the very next morning, everything took a dramatic turn. The next morning dawned with unexpected clarity. The storm had passed, leaving Lagos glistening and wet, the air heavy with the scent of rain and dust. Talia arrived at the restaurant early, as always, sipping a small cup of tea she had bought from a street vendor on her way. But something was different. Today, she felt an energy she hadn't felt in weeks, an undeniable sense that things were about to change. As she clocked in and hung her apron, she noticed a small crowd outside the restaurant. Curious, she stepped closer and saw a familiar figure standing there, Tari Adeyemi, her twin brother. He wasn't dressed like his usual billionaire self. No tailored suits, no gold watch, no luxury shoes. He wore a simple shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Even his hair was slightly messy, as if he had tried to make himself invisible. Talia's heart skipped a beat. This was perfect. The moment she had been orchestrating for weeks had arrived, though she hadn't told Tari anything. She had planned for this accidental encounter carefully. Her eyes flicked toward Nia, who was serving a table nearby, carrying plates with her usual grace. Nia's eyes met Tari's, and for a fraction of a second, the entire world seemed to pause. The gentle curiosity in Nia's eyes met the quiet strength in Tari's, and a spark ignited, subtle, but undeniable. Talia quickly stepped behind the counter to avoid being noticed. She could see Tari approaching cautiously, as if testing the waters. He stopped a few feet away from Nia, smiling slightly, unsure how to start the conversation. "Excuse me," Tari said softly, drawing Nia's attention. "Hi. I'm just passing by, and I couldn't help noticing. Do you work here?" Nia's eyes widened slightly but softened into a polite smile. "Yes, I do. Welcome. Can I help you with something?" Tari scratched the back of his neck, clearly uncomfortable with the simplicity of this interaction. I'm actually new in this area, just visiting. I was looking for a place to eat, and someone recommended this spot. I wanted to thank whoever runs it." Nia laughed softly, a gentle, musical sound that immediately put him at ease. "Well, that would be the owner, but I can show you our specials today. I promise they're not just food, but a little comfort too." As Nia led him to a table, Talia's heart raced. Every step Nia took seemed effortless, every gesture natural, as if she belonged not just in this place, but anywhere she chose. Talia's chest swelled with pride. She reminded herself, this wasn't for her. This was for her brother. Tari watched Nia closely, studying her movements without realizing it. He noticed how she treated the busboys with respect, how she made the customers feel welcome, and how her laughter seemed to brighten even the dullest corners of the room. By the time she had taken his order, Tari realized he hadn't felt this calm in years. There was no pressure, no expectations, no one pretending. It was as if the world had slowed down just for them. Meanwhile, Talia orchestrated everything subtly. She passed by Nia's side, casually dropping napkins or adjusting a plate, ensuring that nothing seemed staged. She smiled to herself, watching her plan unfold like a carefully tuned symphony. The conversation between Nia and Tari flowed naturally. They talked about the city, about simple joys, about life's small victories. Tari found himself laughing openly for the first time in years. He was drawn to her sincerity, her intelligence, and the gentle strength that radiated from her every word. After a while, a spilled drink forced Tari to stand and grab napkins. Nia moved instinctively to help, but Tari reached first. Their hands brushed. A subtle jolt ran through both of them, a quiet acknowledgement of something deeper than words. Talia almost laughed out loud. That subtle electricity was exactly what she had hoped for. Hours passed, and the lunch crowd thinned. Nia and Tari continued to talk, now more comfortably, as if they had known each other for years. The ease of their conversation made Talia's heart ache with a strange mixture of joy and longing. This was the moment her brother had been waiting for. Smiled to herself, watching her plan unfold like a carefully tuned symphony. The conversation between Nia and Tari flowed naturally. They talked about the city, about simple joys, about life's small victories. Tari found himself laughing openly for the first time in years. He was drawn to her sincerity, her intelligence, and the gentle strength that radiated from her every word. After a while, a spilled drink forced Tari to stand and grab napkins. Nia moved instinctively to help, but Tari reached first. Their hands brushed. A subtle jolt ran through both of them, a quiet acknowledgement of something deeper than words. Talia almost laughed out loud. That subtle electricity was exactly what she had hoped for. Hours passed, and the lunch crowd thinned. Nia and Tari continued to talk, now more comfortably, as if they had known each other for years. The ease of their conversation made Talia's heart ache with a strange mixture of joy and longing. This was the moment her brother had been waiting for, though neither of them knew it yet. Just as Tari was about to leave, Nia's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, saw her mother's message reminding her of her nursing class, and hesitated. "I have to go," she said softly. Tari nodded, standing. "I understand. Maybe I could see you again. Not here, I mean, somewhere, less busy." Nia smiled. "I think I'd like that." She hesitated, then added, "I don't usually give my number to strangers, but I think I can make an exception." They exchanged numbers, hands lingering just slightly longer than necessary. Both felt it, the quiet promise of something real. After Tari left, Nia returned to the counter, smiling to herself. Talia approached, masking her excitement with a calm voice. "Well, Leah," she said, slipping back into her alias, "looks like today went well." Nia shrugged, still glowing. "I think, maybe today went more than well." Talia nodded, inwardly cheering. The next phase was set. Tari had met Nia. They had connected. Now it was only a matter of nurturing that connection carefully, allowing fate and free will to do the rest. But life, as always, had a way of complicating things. That evening, Talia returned to the mansion. She couldn't stop thinking about the day. She reviewed every detail, Tari's nervous smiles, Nia's gentle demeanor, the subtle sparks that flew when their hands touched. Then her phone buzzed. A message flashed across the screen. "Talia, we need to talk. Something urgent about Tari. Come to the office." Talia's stomach tightened. Urgency in their world rarely meant good news. She drove through the glistening Lagos streets, rainwater still pooling on the road, and arrived at the office to find her father waiting. He was seated behind the grand mahogany desk, face stern but eyes worried. "Talia, sit down. We need to discuss something important about your brother." Talia's mind raced. Had someone discovered Tari's secret vulnerability? Had a scammer approached him? Her heart pounded. "Your brother," her father began, "he's been approached by a woman claiming to be someone in need. She said she met him by chance, and now there are rumors circulating about his interest in her." Talia blinked. "Rumors? That sounds normal. People gossip all the time." Her father shook his head. "Not in this case. This is different. I have reason to believe this woman might be using him for influence, control, money." Talia's pulse quickened. Was Nia in danger? Or was this a misunderstanding waiting to spiral out of control? She clenched her fists. "I'll handle it," she said firmly. That night, as Lagos shimmered under a blanket of city lights, Talia returned to her small apartment. She thought about the day, about the spark she had seen between her brother and Nia, and about the storm of rumors that might ruin everything. She realized something crucial: her mission had just become far more complicated. Not only did she need to ensure that Nia truly loved Tari, she now had to protect that love from the greed, envy, and lies that always followed a billionaire. But Talia had always thrived under pressure. And she had a plan. She would continue as Liao. She would observe, protect, and guide. She would make sure that when the moment came, Tari's heart and Nia's heart would meet fully, uncorrupted by money, manipulation, or deceit. Because if there was one thing Talia had learned in her life, it was this: true love wasn't given. It was earned. And sometimes, it had to be orchestrated. And with that thought, she smiled to herself, knowing that phase 2 of her operation was about to begin. The morning air in Lagos was electric, thick with the humid energy of a city always moving, always hungry for opportunity. Even Banana Island, with its mansions, luxury cars, and private jets, felt the pulse of that energy. But inside the sprawling Adeyemi mansion, Talia was awake before dawn, her mind already racing with strategies. Today marked the beginning of phase 2 of her plan, nurturing the budding connection between Tari and Nia without revealing her secret identity, while also fending off anyone who might see her brother as prey. Talia had spent the previous night reviewing every detail of their encounter at the seaside restaurant. She remembered every gesture, every smile, every spark between them. Nia had impressed her not only with kindness but with subtle bravery, courage that showed in the way she defended the little boy during the storm, the way she refused to accept charity she didn't need, the way she carried herself with quiet dignity. Talia knew, without a doubt, that her brother deserved someone like Nia. But she also knew that billionaire life had a way of attracting the wrong people, women who saw wealth as a ticket to a better life, or worse, manipulators who sought power disguised as affection. And so, Leah would continue to be the silent observer. Meanwhile, Tari woke in his room, trying to make sense of the feelings that had been stirred the day before. He had met many women in his life, but something about Nia was different. No airs. No pretenses. No obsession with his wealth. Just, a natural warmth, a grounded spirit, a calm intelligence that drew him in. For hours, he replayed every word of their conversation, every subtle smile, every fleeting moment when their hands had brushed. His heart, long hardened by betrayal and loss, felt a softness it hadn't known in years. Tari knew one thing: he wanted to see her again. Back at the restaurant, Nia had returned to her shift, humming softly as she moved between tables. The encounter with Tari had left her heart fluttering, a sensation she hadn't felt in a long time. She was careful not to let anyone see, but even her coworkers noticed a quiet glow in her demeanor. When Leah, Talia in disguise, arrived for her shift, she immediately assessed the situation. Nia was distracted, yes, but not in a way that would endanger the plan. She simply needed to make sure that Tari's introduction to Nia's world didn't overwhelm either of them. By mid-afternoon, Talia had orchestrated a subtle intervention. She suggested to Nia that the restaurant host a small community event, something simple like a charity mini-lunch for underprivileged children nearby. Nia agreed enthusiastically. It was perfect. Tari, hearing about the event through a mutual friend, decided to attend. The day of the charity mini-lunch arrived, the sun blazing overhead. Lagos was alive, vendors calling out their wares, children laughing in the streets, motorcycles weaving through traffic. Nia was busy setting up tables and arranging food when Tari arrived, blending in with the crowd without announcing himself. From the moment he entered, Talia observed from a safe distance, hidden behind a cluster of palm trees. She saw the way Tari's eyes lit up when he first spotted Nia, the way he hesitated, unsure how to approach. But unlike the previous encounter, this time he had no excuses, he had come to help. Tari approached Nia and offered to assist with the tables. She hesitated, surprised, but accepted. Their teamwork was seamless, moving in sync without words. Talia's heart raced. Everything was unfolding as she had hoped. She even caught a subtle glance between the two, a silent acknowledgement, a flicker of connection. Throughout the day, they laughed, joked, and exchanged stories. Tari shared small anecdotes about growing up in Lagos, nothing about wealth or power, only the simple joys of life he had known as a child. Nia shared her experiences volunteering at clinics and helping the underprivileged. It was in those moments, Talia realized, that the real magic of human connection happened. Stripped of wealth, status, and social expectation, Tari and Nia were simply two people discovering compatibility, understanding, and trust. But Phase 2 wasn't just about observation. It was also about subtle guidance. Talia knew that sometimes, love needed a push, not a shove, not manipulation, but gentle steering. So she arranged for minor coincidences. She suggested that Nia serve Tari the meal she had prepared for the event, giving them another opportunity to interact. She made sure Tari noticed Nia's efforts without making it obvious. By mid-afternoon, the children had eaten and gone, leaving the area buzzing with satisfaction and laughter. Tari and Nia remained, talking quietly as they cleaned up. The ease between them was natural. Nia laughed at something Tari said, a light, melodious sound that lingered in the air. Tari smiled, feeling his chest expand with an unfamiliar warmth. Talia watched from her hiding place, heart swelling with pride. Her plan was working. The connection she had nurtured in secret was flourishing, organically, genuinely. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden hues over the event, Tari finally found the courage to speak openly. "Nia," he said softly, "I know this might sound sudden, but I feel like I've known you longer than I actually have. There's something about you, something real, that I haven't felt in years." Nia looked at him, eyes wide but steady. "I feel the same," she admitted. "It's strange, isn't it? How quickly life can surprise you." Before Tari could respond, a small commotion drew their attention. A group of local journalists had arrived, apparently tipped off about the charity event. Cameras flashed, and questions were asked about the billionaire twins rumored to be involved. Nia froze. Tari's expression darkened. He hated attention, hated intrusion, hated the world knowing things before he was ready. Talia's heart raced. She had anticipated minor interference but not press intrusion. She knew she had to act fast. "Leah," Talia in disguise, stepped forward calmly. "Excuse me," she said, voice firm but polite. "This is a private community event. We're not giving interviews. Thank you for understanding." The journalists hesitated, then, seeing her assertiveness and the clear respect the community held for Nia, eventually relented. Talia exhaled quietly. Another crisis averted. After the journalists left, Tari and Nia returned to cleaning tables. The tension of the interruption had somehow brought them closer. Tari realized that Nia's bravery wasn't just about charity, it was about standing firm, protecting others, and maintaining dignity under pressure. By the time the sun had fully set, painting Lagos in shades of orange and violet, Tari knew something important: he could trust her. Trust wasn't something he gave lightly, but Nia had earned it. Talia, observing from her vantage point, allowed herself a rare moment of relief. Phase 2 had succeeded today. Tari and Nia's connection had deepened, and her subtle guidance had gone unnoticed. But she also knew the next phase would be even more challenging. Love was delicate. Trust was fragile. And the world of billionaires was always full of eyes, whispers, and agendas. That evening, back in her small apartment, Talia wrote in her diary. "Connection is strong. Sparks are real. Nia is trustworthy and brave. Tari is responding naturally. Must continue observation while subtly guiding events. No interference that can alert either party. Phase 3 preparation begins tomorrow." She closed the diary, feeling a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Every day brought new challenges, and the stakes were higher than ever. Because Talia knew something crucial: nurturing love was not just about creating opportunities, it was about protecting hearts. And in a world filled with greed, envy, and power, protecting a heart as precious as Tari's was a task that required skill, patience, and courage. As she drifted to sleep that night, Talia allowed herself a quiet smile. Phase 2 was done, and the foundation for something extraordinary had been laid. She didn't yet know the challenges tomorrow would bring, but she was ready. Because she had a mission. A plan. And above all, a love for her brother that would move mountains. The next morning, Lagos woke to the typical symphony of horns, street vendors, and the bustling rhythm of a city that never slept. But inside the modest apartment that Talia now called her temporary home, she was already awake, mentally reviewing the events of the previous day. Phase 2 had been a success. Tari and Nia had grown closer. The sparks were real. Their connection was genuine. But Talia knew that genuine connections, no matter how strong, were fragile. In the world of billionaires, one careless misstep could shatter even the purest bond. Inside the clinic, chaos reigned. A small accident had left 3 children with minor injuries, and the clinic was short-staffed. Nia immediately took charge, assigning tasks to volunteers and calming the children. Tari, slightly overwhelmed at first, was guided by Nia's calm instructions. She didn't lecture him or patronize him. She simply included him, explaining gently what to do and encouraging him whenever he hesitated. By mid-afternoon, Tari had discovered a new side of Nia: determination under pressure, patience under stress, and an innate ability to inspire trust in everyone around her. Talia scribbled notes in her diary. Integrity, confirmed. Leadership under stress, excellent. Emotional intelligence, exceptional. Tari is responding naturally. Connection deepening. After the clinic work was done, Tari and Nia walked outside together. The Lagos sun had begun to lower, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold. "You're amazing," Tari said quietly. "I've never met anyone like you." Nia smiled softly. "Thank you. That means a lot." They walked in silence for a few minutes, each lost in thought. Then Tari asked, hesitantly, "Do you ever worry about people using you?" Nia looked at him, expression calm but honest. "Of course. But I believe people are what they show. I can't live in fear of others' intentions. I just trust carefully." Tari's chest tightened. That honesty, that careful trust, was exactly what he had been searching for. For years, he had been wary, suspicious of everyone's motives. And now, for the first time, he felt safe. But Talia knew better than anyone, the path of love was never smooth. By evening, she noticed something troubling: a group of men loitering near the clinic, observing Tari and Nia. They weren't ordinary passers-by. One of them took photos, another took notes. Talia's heart skipped a beat. Billionaire life attracted predators, and even though Tari was careful, Nia was unaware of the dangers. She quickly formulated a plan: she would subtly intervene without revealing her identity. She sent a discreet message to one of her trusted drivers, asking him to follow the men at a safe distance and report any suspicious activity. Then, keeping her eyes on the scene, she noticed Tari gently placing himself between Nia and the observers, subtly shielding her without drawing attention. Her chest swelled with pride. Not only was Tari genuinely protective, but he did so without arrogance or aggression, quietly, responsibly. The next day, Talia arranged another subtle coincidence: a local charity gala organized for underprivileged youth. She made sure both Tari and Nia received invitations, and that the gala provided opportunities for meaningful interactions, problem-solving, and teamwork. At the gala, Tari and Nia worked side by side. They coordinated activities, guided children, and handled small crises, like a spilled drink that threatened to ruin a young boy's performance. Each challenge strengthened their bond, as they learned to communicate and trust each other under pressure. By the end of the evening, their hands brushed repeatedly, and every glance carried unspoken meaning. Talia observed from a corner, smiling. The connection was undeniable. But love's testing often came in the form of temptation. A wealthy socialite, aware of Tari's presence at the gala, approached him, dressed in silk and diamonds, with a smile designed to captivate. "Tari Adeyemi," she purred, "I didn't expect to see you here. Perhaps we could talk privately." Tari's jaw tightened, and he instinctively glanced at Nia, who was nearby. He realized instantly how he would react. Without arrogance, without hesitation, he refused the socialite politely but firmly. "I'm here for the gala," he said. "I don't want to take anyone's attention away from the children." "Thank you." The socialite's smile faltered. She tried to charm him, but Tari remained steady. Nia noticed, eyes widening slightly. She admired his composure, but also sensed the danger he had just navigated. Talia's heart leapt. Not only was Tari responding well to her plan, but he was proving he could resist distractions and remain faithful to his instincts, and eventually, to Nia. The gala ended with applause and laughter. Tari and Nia walked together, quietly discussing the day's events. The tension from earlier had faded, replaced by ease and familiarity. "You were amazing tonight," Nia said. "You handled everything so calmly." Tari shook his head. "I had a great teacher." He glanced at her meaningfully. "You." A blush crept across Nia's cheeks. The first hint of vulnerability she allowed in his presence. Talia watched from a distance, feeling the satisfaction of a plan well executed. Over the next few weeks, Talia continued orchestrating opportunities for interaction. Coffee shops, community centers, charity events, even random encounters at the markets, all carefully planned, all designed to allow Tari and Nia to grow closer naturally. Each interaction revealed more about Nia: courage, kindness, intelligence, patience. And each interaction revealed more about Tari: trust, respect, vulnerability, genuine affection. The twins' mother, sensing her son's transformation, commented one evening, "Tari seems different lately. Happier. Lighter." Talia smiled to herself. Yes. That was the effect of love's subtle touch, carefully nurtured, carefully guided, but entirely real. Then, one afternoon, as Talia returned to her apartment after a long day of observation, she received a text from Tari. "I want to see Nia again. Tonight. Can you arrange something?" Talia's fingers flew over the keyboard. She smiled. The plan was working perfectly. Phase 2 was complete, the connection between her brother and Nia had strengthened. They were no longer strangers, they were companions, confidants, and something much deeper. Her diary entry that night read: Phase 2, success. Tari and Nia's bond is growing stronger. Trust is established. Attraction is mutual. Phase 3, introducing truth carefully, must be prepared. Risks increasing, vigilance was working. The hearts were aligning. And the love she had worked so hard to nurture was blossoming, quietly, naturally, beautifully. And in Lagos, under the golden evening sky, everything felt possible. The first rays of Lagos dawn cut across the skyline, glinting off skyscrapers and puddles alike. Banana Island shimmered in the early light, but inside the Adeyemi mansion, tension hummed as palpably as the city outside. Talia sat at the large mahogany desk in her brother's study, reviewing her carefully constructed plans for Phase 3. Phase 3 was the most critical stage. Tari and Nia had grown close, their connection deepened through shared experiences and genuine emotion. But the world of billionaires was unpredictable. Gossip, wealth, envy, and hidden agendas all threatened to unravel what Talia had carefully nurtured. This phase would bring clarity, confrontation, and ultimately, the true test of Nia's heart and character. Talia's fingers danced over her diary, making notes. Phase 3 objectives. 1. Strengthen Tari's trust in Nia. 2. Test Nia's response to truth and exposure. 3. Introduce controlled challenges to reveal true intentions. 4. Protect both parties from external interference. She leaned back, eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Meanwhile, Tari woke with a sense of anticipation. The previous weeks had been transformative, but the truth remained: he had never allowed himself to fully believe that love could exist beyond wealth, power, and expectation. Yet Nia had proven that simplicity, honesty, and integrity could awaken emotions he had buried long ago. He checked his phone. A message from Nia blinked softly. "Meet me at the Riverside Park around 5 p.m. I want to show you something." Tari's heart skipped. The Riverside Park was a quiet, open space where children played, couples strolled, and vendors sold snacks along the muddy paths. It was a place of memories, laughter, and reflection, exactly the kind of setting to test connection away from observers, cameras, or pretenders. By late afternoon, Talia, disguised once again as Leah, positioned herself discreetly nearby. She wanted to watch but remain unseen, ensuring that nothing interfered with the natural chemistry between Tari and Nia. Nia arrived first, carrying a small picnic basket. Her eyes scanned the park carefully, and when she spotted Tari approaching, her expression softened. "Hi," she said, smiling. "Thanks for coming." Tari offered a smile in return. "I wouldn't miss it." They found a quiet bench by the river, sitting close but not touching, a gentle space between them charged with unspoken emotion. As the sun dipped lower, they shared stories from their childhoods, Tari about the pressures of growing up wealthy, Nia about surviving and thriving in a city that demanded everything from her at every moment. Each word, each laugh, each sigh brought them closer. Then Nia reached into her basket and pulled out 2 small hand-carved wooden boats. "I made these," she said, eyes glinting mischievously. "I thought we could float them on the river, a little tradition I have. You know, small gestures, small happiness." Tari couldn't help but laugh. "Hand-carved? By you?" Nia nodded. "I like doing things with my hands. Something personal. Something real." Tari glanced at the boats. They weren't perfect. The wood was rough, the paint slightly chipped. But there was charm, there was care, there was thought. And suddenly, he realized, this was Nia. Small, honest, deliberate, and genuine. They floated the boats along the river, watching them drift with the current. Children's laughter echoed from a distance, but they were alone in their moment. Tari felt a pull toward her, not just attraction, but admiration, respect, and something deeper he had long forgotten, hope. But just as serenity settled in, a sudden commotion broke the moment. A group of men, Talia had been watching for weeks, emerged from behind the trees. Their intentions weren't clear, but their presence was menacing. Nia froze, instinctively stepping back. Tari immediately positioned himself between her and the men. His calm exterior belied the tension he felt inside. "Who are you?" Tari demanded. The men smirked, clearly expecting to intimidate him. "Just curious about the billionaire," one said. "We heard he's interested in someone special. Thought we'd see for ourselves." Nia's hand went to her chest, fear evident but not overwhelming. Tari noticed. He reached for her hand, reassuringly. Talia, watching from the shadows, clenched her fists. Phase 3 had begun, earlier than planned, and she needed to intervene subtly. A sudden whistle cut through the air. One of Talia's hired drivers, stationed nearby, stepped into view, blocking the men's path. "I think you've overstayed your welcome," he said, voice firm. The men hesitated. Tari nodded to him, eyes sharp. "Leave now," he said. Authority in his tone silenced any further challenge. The men retreated, muttering threats, but the danger passed. Nia exhaled shakily, glancing at Tari. "You were amazing," she said softly. I didn't know what to do." Tari smiled gently. "You don't need to know. You did everything right. I've got your back." Her chest swelled with trust. It was a small moment, but monumental, a quiet acknowledgement that he could be relied upon, and that she could rely on him. Talia allowed herself a breath of relief. The first real test of Phase 3 had passed. The next few days were calmer but charged with anticipation. Talia began carefully introducing small truths into the interactions, hints about Tari's wealth, glimpses of his real identity, but nothing overt. The goal, gauge Nia's reaction, observe her integrity, and ensure her heart remained grounded. During a casual lunch at a small, open-air cafe, Tari casually mentioned, "My sister says I'm difficult to understand sometimes. She worries I don't trust easily." Nia smiled. "Difficult? Maybe. But I think some things are worth understanding. Some people are worth the effort." Tari's gaze lingered on her. "You're brave, you know that. And you're patient," Nia replied softly. "Sometimes patience is the hardest virtue to hold." Talia, sitting discreetly across the street, took note. Mutual admiration and respect were blossoming. A week later, Talia orchestrated another critical scenario, a sudden flood in a local Lagos neighborhood that required volunteers. She arranged for both Tari and Nia to participate, ensuring that their teamwork and decision-making would be tested under stress. The neighborhood streets were waterlogged. Children and families stranded on makeshift platforms needed guidance. Tari and Nia coordinated efficiently, assigning tasks, rescuing stranded families, and distributing relief materials. During a particularly tense moment, a small child slipped near the river's edge. Nia lunged instinctively to grab him, losing her footing in the mud. Tari, reacting instantly, caught her before she fell. Their eyes met, a fleeting, electric connection, but neither spoke. Words weren't needed. In that moment, trust and affection crystallized into something undeniable. Talia's heart raced. The plan had exceeded expectations. The bond was not only growing, it was unshakable. That evening, back at her apartment, Talia reviewed her diary. Every event, every interaction, every gesture had been recorded. She smiled. Phase 3 was complete. Tari and Nia's connection had survived exposure, danger, and pressure. It was time to escalate to Phase 3, the final phase, full revelation and emotional confrontation. Phase 3 would bring challenges, confessions, and choices. The moment when truths would be revealed, hearts would be tested, and love would either blossom fully or falter under scrutiny. But Talia was ready. She had orchestrated, guided, protected, and observed. Every detail had been accounted for. Now, it was time for hearts to speak for themselves. The sun had set over Lagos, painting the city in deep orange and violet hues. Banana Island shimmered with its usual luxury, but inside the Adeyemi mansion, tension and anticipation were thick. Tonight was the night Talia had been planning carefully for weeks, Phase 3, the full revelation and ultimate test. Talia had called both Tari and Nia under the pretense of a private dinner at the mansion. She had arranged everything meticulously, the garden lit with fairy lights, a quiet table near the fountain, a soft breeze carrying the scent of jasmine. As Nia arrived, dressed simply but elegantly, her eyes widened at the grandeur of the setting. She instinctively felt out of place, but Talia had coached her to stay calm, to trust her instincts, and to rely on what she knew about Tari. Tari, seated already, rose the moment he saw her. His expression was unreadable, calm, composed, yet full of warmth. "Good evening," he said softly. "Good evening," Nia replied, slightly nervous but holding his gaze. Dinner was served. Talia, still disguised as Leah, observed silently from across the garden. Her heart pounded. Every detail had been considered, the setting, the food, the ambience, all to create an environment where honesty could thrive. As the meal progressed, small talk gave way to deeper conversation. Tari spoke of childhood memories, small lessons, and personal challenges. Nia shared stories of her upbringing, her aspirations, and the struggles she had faced. The ease between them was palpable. But Talia knew that tonight would demand more than ease. Tonight, hearts would be revealed. After the main course, Tari cleared his throat. "Nia, there's something I need to tell you. Something important." Nia's brow furrowed slightly. "What is it?" He took a deep breath. "You've seen me in a certain light, simple, approachable, even, ordinary. But the truth is, I'm not who you think I am. I'm a billionaire. My life, my family, my world, it's far different than the one you've seen." Nia's eyes widened. Shock rippled across her face, but she said nothing immediately. She took a deep breath, processing. "I understand if this changes things," Tari continued. "I don't want wealth, power, or status to interfere with what's between us. I only want honesty and trust. That's all I've ever wanted." Nia's hands trembled slightly as she reached across the table. "Tari. I won't lie. This is a lot. But you're still the same man I've come to know. The one who cares, who protects, who listens. Wealth doesn't define you. You do." Tari's chest tightened. Relief, joy, and disbelief mingled in his expression. Talia, still in her Leah disguise, felt a surge of emotion. Phase 3 had begun perfectly. The truth had been revealed, and Nia had passed the first test. She saw Tari for who he was, not what he had. But Talia knew the final challenge was yet to come, the emotional test that would cement their bond, the revelation of her own identity. She rose slowly from her hidden spot, walking toward the garden with calm confidence. Nia and Tari turned, surprised to see her approaching. "Nia," Talia began softly, removing her disguise. "There's something else you need to know. I'm not Lia. I'm Talia, Tari's sister. I orchestrated many of the events you've experienced, to protect him, to guide the connection between you two, and to test the sincerity of your heart." Nia's mouth fell slightly open. Shock, confusion, and curiosity warred across her face. Tari's eyes widened, but he didn't speak. He had always trusted his sister's judgment, but even he hadn't anticipated this revelation. "I understand if this feels overwhelming," Talia continued. "But everything I did was to ensure that what developed between you two was real. That you weren't deceived, manipulated, or influenced by appearances or wealth. I wanted love, genuine love, to grow naturally." Nia remained silent for a moment, processing. Then, slowly, she spoke. You did all of this? You manipulated everything?" Talia smiled gently. "I guided it, yes. But the feelings between you and Tari, those are yours. Every laugh, every spark, every moment of trust, those are real. I only ensured the path was safe and clear." Nia looked at Tari, eyes glistening. "Tari, is this true?" He reached for her hand, holding it firmly but gently. "Every word. And every feeling I have for you is real. Nothing was staged between us except the opportunities to meet. But my heart chose you freely." Talia stepped back, allowing them space. She watched as Nia's emotions softened into a smile, then laughter, then a moment of tender understanding. "You're incredible," Nia whispered. I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," Tari replied, eyes locked on hers. "Just be with me. That's all that matters." And in that moment, the tension of weeks, the orchestrated plans, the trials and tests, all melted away. What remained was truth, trust, and love. But there was one final test, the challenge of choice. Nia had to decide, fully and freely, whether she could embrace the complexities of Tari's world without being overwhelmed by it. She took a deep breath, gazing at the mansion, the city, and Tari beside her. "I've thought a lot about this," she said softly. "About you, about us. I don't care about wealth or status. I care about you. I care about the man I've come to know, not the billionaire. And I choose you. All of you. Even the world that comes with you." Tari's eyes glistened with emotion. He pulled her gently into an embrace, holding her as if he never wanted to let go. Talia, watching from a distance, felt a surge of fulfillment. The mission was complete. The love she had orchestrated, protected, and guided had survived tests, danger, and revelation. It was pure, mutual, and enduring. In the following weeks, Tari and Nia became inseparable. They faced Lagos together, the glitz, the chaos, the power, and the ordinary life, but their bond only strengthened. Talia occasionally watched from a distance, satisfied that her brother's happiness was genuine, untainted, and well-earned. The trio shared moments of quiet celebration in the mansion's garden, laughter spilling over light breezes. And as Lagos shimmered under the golden sun, Talia knew one truth above all: love, when protected and nurtured, can conquer even the most complicated paths. Months later, as Tari and Nia walked hand in hand along the riverside where it all began, Tari stopped. "You know," he said, "I used to think love was impossible for someone like me. I was wrong. And you changed everything." Nia smiled, squeezing his hand. "We changed it together." Talia watched them from afar, her heart full. The mission, the risks, the orchestrations, every calculated step had led to this moment. A love that was tested, true, and unshakable. Talia watched them from afar, her heart full. The mission, the risks, the orchestrations, every calculated step had led to this moment. A love that was tested, true, and unshakable. And as the sun set over Lagos, the city hummed its eternal rhythm, unaware that in one quiet corner, love had triumphed against all odds. Because sometimes, the greatest power isn't wealth or influence. It's courage, integrity, trust, and the willingness to open one's heart, fully, without reservation. Talia smiled one final time. Mission accomplished. I need 60 consistent AI image prompts for the entire script with consistent details for each respective character in a prompt, repeat the extractor details in each prompt for easy copy-paste.